So this is one of our nights that you would have either heard or read about us doing these kind of sectional workshops for smaller elements or smaller parts of our wider team to come together to work on more specific things. So this is the first sort of music one. We had video directors meeting together last week. So as we gathered a couple of months ago, we voted on some options for all of us, and one of them that got a high number of votes was talking about transitions, and so that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. And so I'm not sure what that means to you, transitions. Maybe we've got different kind of concepts or understandings of what that is, and so what I want to do tonight is just explore what that actually is and how valuable it is for us, what it means for us, and how we can perhaps skill up and just continue to equip ourselves to serve what God wants us to do, but also, you know, where our worship leaders might want to take worship and to support each other as musos as well. Sound all right? Cool. And at any point, you're really welcome to speak up. Add in your thoughts. I'm not the guru on all of this stuff. We've all got different thoughts and experiences and all that, so I'd love to hear them as well. Yeah, it's all really valuable. So, first of all is the what. So what are we talking about when we're talking about transitions? Well, it's really the part between one song to another song. And that might seem a little bit unimportant or a little bit sort of on the margins of, okay, aren't the songs the important bit? But sometimes it's those moments that can either facilitate something that God wants to do, or where a worship leader is feeling like they should be going. It can be a wonderful time to help people stay in an atmosphere or what's the word I'm looking for? In their worship space, or it can jar them out of it, depending on how it's done. It can facilitate moments of reflection, of waiting on God, of kind of silence, even though there might be some music. And it can facilitate some free worship, which doesn't need to necessarily be overly charismatic or Pentecostal, even though that's where we might have seen that happen a lot. What was it, a 1 hour and 20 minute set at Upper Room on one song? So it doesn't have to be that, but the Bible talks about bring a new song to God, and I love the idea of people using their own words to worship God, not just words that have been written on a screen, but written by someone else and appear on a screen, as good as they are, but using their own words. And so for us as a band to be able to facilitate and back that is a really, really valuable thing. And who knows how long that might go for. Like, I think if God's presence did something incredible and unique and amazing in one of our services, who knows how long it will go for, and who cares? Like, we're here to meet with God, so let's press into it. So what do we do as musos in that space? Like, how do we facilitate that? Do we just kind of stop and go, oh, I don't want to make any mistakes, so I'm not going to do anything? Or how do we communicate? What are the kind of the ground rules? What are the dynamics and for all of that stuff? And so it's really, really important stuff, because we are potentially stewarding a moment that God is wanting to create amongst us that could be transformational for someone. Cool. So a bit about the why. Like, why would we do this? And we've talked a little bit about that already. Sorry. So I wanted to do a bit of a demonstration. So let's pretend we're in this song. You're all I want. So you're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. Pretty serious words. You're all I want. Hopefully people are really meeting with God and owning those words. Help me know you are near. dodgy transition can just break the moment. And when we're thinking about engaging people at a heart level and then meeting with God, that was obviously an exaggeration. How we go from one song to another can be really, really important because we're facilitating that moment. So we want to alleviate some distractions, and we work hard to create like an environment and an atmosphere where people feel safe to, close their eyes, to just sing and open their heart to God. And it can be a vulnerable space. Like ideally, that's what people are doing. They're not standing their eyes open, but they're focusing in on God, and they're open to God, and a distraction can pull them out of that space pretty quickly. So to facilitate engagement, so moving seamlessly from one song to the next, again means they're not being pulled out or jarred out, but it can actually build on a song. I know that when we do a couple of fast songs in a row, when they run into each other, you get this sense of, this is kind of building, that song's lifting off that other song. Why? Also, to allow God to do something unplanned. We don't know exactly what He's planning for a worship set, and so if we can be open to what He might want to do and skilled enough to facilitate it, that's awesome. And just to be better musically, like I think we all want to grow as musicians, and as a band we want to be better and better at what we do. And so I love what you said, Ali, about that band having the ability. They must have just known each other musically and watching each other, the ability to follow and to listen and to respond and all of that. So there's just an element of being a good muso that you develop this ability to bounce off other people. You're not just in your zone doing your thing, but you're responsive to what's happening. So when might we do this sort of thing? Well, I would say, I've got here, when it feels right. So not when it feels wrong, we don't do it. But sometimes it's a bit inexplainable. God might be doing something that we're all realise that something special is happening in this moment, and you can't manufacture it. We're not trying to manufacture it, but we're trying to respond to what God's doing. And so might not even see it coming. Or the worship leader might have had a sense through the week, there's something in here between these two songs. Or I know for me as a worship leader, sometimes I go, that bridge, something's going to happen in that bridge this time. And so I love to know that the band's got my back wherever I want to go, however many times I want to repeat it, however big I want to build it or soft I want to take it. I know that the band is right there with me to help me with it. And so it's also the when is when the worship leader leads it, basically. We are serving them as our leader in that space. Mustn't have said anything too controversial yet because no one's... So I suppose next is the how. And this is what we'll kind of workshop a bit as we go through. And again, feel free to add into this. So I've got by being prepared and alert, and that we can prepare as a team, but we can also prepare on our own instruments and sort of knowing what we might play. Alert, these guys obviously were eyeballing each other through the set, and that's really, really important. If we're in our zone, just too focused on what we're doing, then we're not open to that give and take. Practicing for spontaneity, so that is sounds a bit like an oxymoron in a way, but you have to practice for spontaneity. You have to be prepared to be able to do it. It's a bit like improvising. You don't get a great jazz improviser who just improvises. No, they've put a whole lot of practice in so they can be spontaneous and do it well. And so we have to practice for spontaneity, especially when we're learning about each other. Knowing what to do on our instruments. So as an acoustic guitarist, what do I actually do? Like, what do I play if we're trying to create this moment? What am I actually going to play? As a drummer, okay, well, it's really quiet, so what am I going to do? Or anything like that. So just being aware of what we might do with our instruments in that moment, depending on what sort of transition it is. And, that comes again with just exploring and experimenting at home and listening to what other players do, really, I think is really, really helpful. I know a few drummers who always have a pair of mallets in their stick bag because those cymbal swells can just be so effective, just without the attack on the cymbal that a stick brings. So, yeah, being prepared in different ways. Being aware of what other people are doing on their instruments. So, yeah, listening and responding, but also going, okay, in this moment, I've played with Mick a lot. I know sort of how to read his cues, or I know what a keyboard player will probably play in this moment, so I can sort of bounce off them in that way. And then I've just got practicing as well, just sort of doing it on your instrument and having the facility and the capacity to play what you need to play in the moment. And it's a bit hard to practice with a new baby at times, but somehow trying to fit that into our lives of just at least holding on to, but ideally increasing our capacity on our instruments is, all to serve God. Brilliant. I should pass this mic around, shouldn't I? So that was just for people watching. That was are the worship leaders aware as they choose keys which ones naturally flow into another one, or if they are just sort of a really sharp right turn, and if so, is there a plan for how to make that work? Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Brenton. Yeah, and that's where, like, if we push into this more, having the worship leaders spend time practicing during the rehearsal, practicing these sorts of moments as well as sort of workshops like this. Yeah, I think it's first of all being aware of which keys of what you're doing as you're choosing keys for songs. If you've got no idea that B to G or whatever is going to be a jarring, then that's the first step of just being aware of which keys fit together. And then I think what we're going to do, we're going to actually work on different types of transitions. I think some of it can also come down to what you do within the song, a bit like what you said with Upper Room. So it wasn't so much about going from one song to another. It was using what was in one song to have a worship moment, and then you might move on to the next one. So I think it's still possible to craft the moment so you're perhaps finishing off one song and that comes to a natural end, and then even if it is another key, you can sort of take it out into the new song. So with key, I take the point, and I think it will be really important in some moments. On the other flip side of that, I kind of go, I've never been at a concert or listened to a album where I go, oh, that key change was jarring. It's like it's often not something that comes to mind, but having said that, if we are trying to transition smoothly, it does become important. So it's a bit of both for me. So each instrument sort of has its role, and this is sort of broad brushstrokes maybe, but if we're talking about keyboard, pad is a really, really valuable thing because it just this beautiful, lush kind of foundation that everything else can be built on. So pad is a really, really important thing, and what you guys can do so well sometimes is have a pad, but also a little bit of the piano sound in there as well for some like detail and add some of that. So that's really good. I'd say electric guitar, we can have big, open, sort of lush sounds just to fill out that bottom end too, but nothing that's really, it's not a time for a solo. For acoustic guitar, just picking, finger picking, or we might need to hold the tempo of it if that's what we're needed. And I suppose we're talking about different types of what we might do. It might be just really, really open where you don't feel any tempo, or we might be we might still want to beat there. And cymbals, drums, so it might be more cymbal sort of stuff, swells and keeping some beat, or it depends what the volume is like. A worship moment or a free worship moment can be really big too, and toms might be perfect or whatever. So I suppose it's feeling it. Bass, I think just holding down some long notes and really filling out the bottom end, and going between different chords It might mean just holding the root note in the key rather than doing all the chord changes, can sometimes just sort of glue it all together. And the worship leader leading clearly. So for us chordal instruments, if we're doing this sort of thing, we might just stay on the root chord in the key and just sit there. Or we might go between the root chord and the sus4 chord. It's just adds a little bit of interest. Or the 1 and the 4 chords. Do you know what I mean by that? If they're in the key, so like G to C, or so the tonic chord and then the one that's 4 chords along. That's sort of the basic sort of stuff that just works. Or use the chords in that song section, like, that bridge section of Build My Life is really beautiful chords, and repeating those. Changing the chords slowly. So it can be a bit, sometimes if there's a really pulled back section and the chords are changing quickly, it can be a bit distracting and not really feel like it's resting in that. So, you might just hold one chord for however long, and then you're looking at the person who's playing them as well, and then go, okay, we're going to the 4 chord now. It doesn't have to necessarily be with a beat. Or you might do, where you would normally do 1 bar, you'd do 2 bars or 4 bars of that chord, and then The other element in this too is having someone on a mic, like a band leader on a mic who's leading that, which is incredibly helpful as well, which Brenton's done a fair bit of, and Luke Sandeman and stuff. So that's something that's happening in the background too, very slowly. And then just watch and listen. So just sort of going with it and following. So this is kind of, as far as workshopping, I've done this before with bands, and this is what we're going to workshop. Okay, this is my list of various transitions. First one is very quick transition from one song to another. And this is where the drummer is probably under the most pressure, because you finish one song and 1, 2, like you're straight in. We want to get going. We want to move from that song to that song like as quick as possible. And like some songs, they're literally the same key, same tempo. You don't, like, it's almost like it's the same song. But if you do have to change, it's like, we finished that one and it's just as quick as possible. If you've got to change the click, that's another thing to do. But worth practicing and worth kind of refining and stuff. Absolutely. So drummers don't always have to click in. It can be another instrument, can be a fill, all of that. Absolutely, thanks, that's good. Something that perhaps the worship leaders or the music directors need to be could think more creatively on, of like, we don't have to just have a click in acoustic. Why don't you just start with that song or whatever it might be? There's some nice piano intros that we'll do occasionally too that work really well. That's good. Okay, so next one would be just holding in between the 2 songs, whether that's loud or soft or somewhere in between. What would you do? Like if we've got a big kind of loud song we're finished in, we want to hold that for 5 seconds. What do we do as instrumentalists to make that happen? And then get into the next one. So we're going to workshop these. If we've got a big song and we want to not just kind of stop and restart, but we literally want to take our sound and do that and start. How do we do that? In the reverse, which is harder, we want to take what we've got and we want to build it up dynamically to go into the next one. And then we kind of want to have this thing where we've perhaps in a softer song, we have this swelling kind of moment that could happen over and over, and then go into the next one. Of course, this could be between song sections as well in the same song. And then we might have it might be quite loud, and then we come down and then build it back up to go into, again, Build My Life is a great example. You might have a big chorus, and then you want to come down for that instrumental before the bridge, but you actually want to build the dynamic back up for I will build my life. So, yeah. So, we're going to workshop all of that. Pity for the drum. All right, here's what I want us to do. I want us to just create a bit of a layer with all of us playing that has no real beat, no real tempo or anything. We'll just do it on a D chord, okay? Simple, hey? Good. And okay, so now let's say we've got a beat about that fast. So 1, 2, just on the one chord, on D again. We're going to just lose the tempo in a sec and just float for a sec. All right, so sort of pull the beat out. Cool. So Bailey, now can you set the tempo for us again to just sort of start to build a little bit? So if we were going between the 1 and the 1 sus4 chord, can we do that, like with a beat? Can you give us more of a sort of a swelly sort of thing on some cymbals as well, just to raise and lower it a little bit? So go for it, mate. We'll follow you. Let's go between the 1 and the 4, so D and G. D, now to the G. Nice. All right, let's build it a bit. So if we were going to do that on like a chord progression, see you've got Build My Life there. The bottom line is the bridge chords, pretty much. So let's just do a similar thing with that. So I'll go for the bridge chords. Do you want to start us off again, Bailey? Starting on the G. Should be an A, sorry, that last chord should be an A. A here. So if we wanted to use those chords, but just spread them right out, let's have no kind of tempo, but let's just follow Bailey. So whenever he kind of signals with a nod or a wink or a lift or a kick or a head swipe or we change chords, okay? So we haven't really got any time, just holding. Start on the G. Change the how often we change chords. Brilliant. It's not that hard, is it, when we're really synced into each other? No, well, we follow. Really good. All right, let's swap roles. I'll be the worship leader. All right, so we're going to do the same chords and no time feel. So start on the G. Unrehearsed, but we were really in sync. So let's try a couple of those different ways to transition. So closer would be kind of the tempo is sort of. So let's do this. We'll do closer. We'll do kind of the outro. So maybe a couple of times through the chords. So it's like 8 bars. We'll stop it, and then Caleb, we want you to count into louder, like straight away. But if you can hit your cymbals really hard, get them ringing to fill in the space while you pull off and just count us in. We will watch you and we'll go straight into louder. Closer and closer. let's do that a bit different, a bit like what Brenton said before. Let's have another instrument start it. Do you feel comfortable starting it, or do you want me to? Straight into louder. So if we hold that last chord, perfect. Yep, no, that's all good. So what we'll do, guys, we'll hold that G chord, and then you just come in. It will naturally come down because you're just starting it. And then let's give him 4 bars, and then we'll come back in. Cool. Same spot. Sometimes, like with this next one, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to keep it loud in between the songs. And then, Caleb, we might have you count in. So one of those times you need to actually really, you kind of can't be shy in a way, especially perhaps if you're a drummer, because you might feel a bit self-conscious that you're making all this noise. But what we're going to do is we're going to get to that G, and we're just going to keep it big. We'll imagine that the crowd is like, yeah, come on. Yeah, let's try and hold it till... I'll give you a nod. I'm the worship leader, so I'll let you know when I want you to count into louder. So we just want... Yep, keep holding the G, and then I'll nod to Caleb to count us in. 3, 4... How'd that feel? Oh no, we won't. We'll go big song and bring it down to a small song. Okay, so let's do Closer again, but then we're going into Draw Me Close. Do you know that one, Caleb? Maybe, Build My Life we'll go into. It's probably more familiar, not an ancient song. Yeah, can you count us in? Yeah, Ancient of Days is ancient. So maybe even just on the ride. Then we'll go to Draw Me Close. So we're going to be big. We're going to do Build My Life. That's right. So we're going to be nice and big. And we're going to try and sustain that and just gradually bring it down together. Let's do that again. Let's make that a bit longer. So you're starting the song, which is cool. You don't need to count in, Caleb. Do you want to play have a play, either of you guys? Let's do that one again. This time we're going to do it a bit different. We are going to go into Worthy of It All, which is in not a nice key at all, from G to E. So let's allow that G to pretty much die out, and let's be really aware that Bailey's going to start the next song with the E, and let's jump right out after that and just start to swell up underneath him. So let's let it die down a bit more. Can I start it this time? I'll start Worthy of It All this time. Cool. Now, how we indicate how gradually we come down is difficult, but we'll follow Cam because he's the most loudest. Thanks. We'll do the same again. Together from one song to the next. It's really, really good when we know what we're doing. There's one thing I was going to say before that, Brenton. I'm going to remember what it is. That's what I was going to say. So a worship leader doesn't have to always be the only leader in the band. Like, we all hear from God, and if God is using one of the instrumentalists to lead worship, then that's awesome. Like, we can follow each other in that, because we're all able to do that on our instruments, lead on our instruments, which is really cool. So, if we hand it over to someone who's on drums or on keys or on guitar, hey, we'll follow you. You take us where you want to go, and we'll just go with you. It's cool. All right, Brenton. let's go to the next one. So song A is down, song B is up. Now, tempos can be whatever. We could go from a fast one to a slow one, or slow one to fast. Let's go from slow to fast. So let's go from the last four chords of Build My Life into louder. G minor, B minor. Yeah, yep. Into louder. Yeah. So we want to get to the stage where we've really built that. And then how do we get the new tempo? Maybe we just want to sit on that and take the tempo away a bit. So we're just kind of swelling on that A, then Cam counts us into louder, and we're just straight in. Sound all right? So we go twice through those chords. When we get to the A, it says G, but we're going to play A. For the second time, we're going to keep swelling, and then Cam will count us in. Across those 8 bars, 2 times through those chords, we're going to build and build and build and build. Okay? We're going to call it as 8 bars for this time, though. All right? Do you mind counting us in, Cam? So much better than just stopping and then... Beautiful. That sounded awesome. Well done. Yes.
Part of this is that we're not used to...
Let's do that again. This time, we'll keep it all down when we get to that, and we get to the end of those 8 bars, and then we'll build up on that A. Just gradually sort of build on one chord. And then you count us in when you're ready, Cam. Cool. Excellent. All right, let's just do a couple more. We're doing really well, guys. We're feeling good about this stuff? It seems like we can, it's kind of, yep. So, we want to go from Build My Life and then into Worthy of It All. Do you know Worthy of It All, Ali? Yeah, yep. So let's do a quiet. I will build my life. Maybe just once through. But then when we get back to we're going to stay on the A, and we're just going to build that up, but nice and gradually. This is the, yeah, and then we'll bring it down. And Ali, when it's kind of quiet and right down, can can you take us into Worthy of It All? So that's the last one there. So just in E, if you're just sort of pulsing on the... Yeah, yeah. Should we give that a go? So once through that last line of Build My Life, but we stop on the A, and we're just going to really gradually build and then lower, and then when you're going to come right down Ali, we'll watch Ali so we know when she's going to start, and then you just... So nice and soft. Around again. So hold that A. Yeah, yeah. This time, because they're such different keys, I'll give you a nod when I want you to change, and then let's all watch Ali for that downbeat. So cool. So same thing. Sounds great, you guys. Sound all right? Good job. So it's the concepts are really simple, and you guys just really intuitively, we just know what to do. So it's really good.